Welcome everybody to the Applying for ALD Scholarships focusing on the James G. Stemler Study Abroad Scholarship. We're happy to have you with us today. We have as the facilitator, presenter, Sharon Emerson-Stonnell, who is a professor at Longwood University and the National Council President for Alpha Lambda Delta. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharon. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much, Eileen. So I'm going to be sharing my computer. So this is the ALD Stemler Scholarship webinar. So these scholarships are designed specifically for study abroad. The applications are due on February 15th, and there is a site where you can upload your application. Now, this is March of 2019, so you do not want to upload your application yet. You want to wait until December 2019 when the 2020 applications become open. But what we're going to talk about today are the standard practices for the scholarship, and that's really not going to change for 2020. So there are 20 scholarships that we offer for study abroad. They're all called the James G. Stemler Study Abroad Scholarship. 10 of the scholarships are for $2,000, and 10 other scholarships are for $1,000. So each year, Alpha Lambda Delta awards $30,000 for ALD students to study abroad. The number of applications each school can submit depends on how many students were initiated. So if under 150 new members were initiated in the previous year, then the chapter can submit one application. If there are 150 to 299 new members the previous year, then 2 applications can be submitted. And if there were 300 or more, then 3 applications can be submitted. So for example, Longwood University initiates under 150 people each year. And so we could submit 1 student application for the Stemler. A larger university such as the University of Texas, which has well more than 300 new members each year, would submit 3 applications. So it does depend on your size, and this is so that we can be fair to chapter sizes. Scholarship eligibility is very nice. If you are a member of Alpha Lambda Delta, no matter when you joined, you are eligible to apply. It's open to all Alpha Lambda Delta members, no matter when you became a member. The GPA requirement is still a 3.5, the same as it was when you joined Alpha Lambda Delta, and this is on a 4.0 scale. So study abroad must be used through U.S. institutions. So if you are studying abroad at an international institution, you need to have the arrangements and all through a U.S. institution, because ALD is not going to send money to an international institution. We're not going to send money outside the U.S. So if you're studying abroad, even if it is at an international institution, make sure it's going through your university or another U.S. university, because the money will be sent to the U.S. university. Do you have any question about that? Your study abroad office should have that information for you. And what we're talking about is the 2020 Study Abroad Scholarship. So you should be traveling abroad between May 1st of 2020 and May 31st of 2021. And if you're on this webinar, then you're probably already thinking about where you're going to go next year. And so each year we receive about 55 applications for 20 scholarships. So that is less than a 3-to-1 ratio. So your odds of winning the scholarship are very good. So it's definitely worth your time and energy to apply for it. Now, there are a few stipulations, and you need to be aware of this before you go through the time and energy of applying for it. If you accept this scholarship, if you're awarded the scholarship, you must begin and complete the study abroad during that time frame. So if you know you're going to study abroad in February of 2021, then you fit in this time frame. But if you're not going to study abroad until December of 2021, you want to wait until you get to the 2021 scholarships, because you cannot move it to the following year. You must be enrolled full-time and working towards a degree during the year that you receive this scholarship. And if you think that you qualify for an exception, then you need to contact the national office. The national office can help you determine whether or not you do have a possible exemption to these requirements. As far as purposes of using this scholarship money, it is for study abroad purposes. So it can be used for your normal classroom materials while you're studying abroad, but it can also be used for things such as your airline ticket, or for train tickets, or for hotel accommodations. Whatever it is that you're using, as long as it's for study abroad. That's the point of these scholarships. Now, the application information, as we're going through it, when you apply for this, because only a certain number of students from each chapter can apply to the national office, each school is different. So you need to contact the chapter advisor to find out what the application process is for your school. Although the national office has a deadline of February 15th, many schools have a deadline well before that because multiple students want to apply for this. So they have to go through and they have to examine all of the applications and choose the ones they want to forward to the national office. If you are not sure what your process is, or you do not know who the chapter advisor is, if you contact the national office, they can help you put you in touch with the chapter advisor. Something that you need to be well aware of is that you are going to be required to submit an official transcript for each college that you attend. And some colleges take longer than others to get these transcripts, so you want to do this well in advance. If the deadline for your university is February 1st, you want to make sure you have those transcripts ordered soon enough so that you know that you'll have them on February 1st. This can take a little bit of time because I know some people will take courses over the summer at other institutions, and so you want to make sure those are included. And if you look at it, once again, there are links as we take a look at this. Now, before we actually get into the scoring rubric here, I want to show you what an application looks like. So once again, be patient with me. I'm going to pull up an application here. So this is the Stemler application. And you'll notice when you go online, you can see where you have your basic information, name, institution, addresses, so on. But I want to go down and take a look at some of these questions as we go through here. There is a lot of essay question points in here. So you have things for listing employment information, summarizing your contributions to the Alpha Lambda Delta chapter. Notice there's a word limit here. Summarizing your campus activities, listing the honors that you've received, another 250-word limitation on the essay for the impact of ALD on your college experience, and then another 250-word essay on your study abroad and possible impact on academic growth and so on. This is a lot to try to do while you are going through and writing all of this. So what we recommend is that you don't do all of this on the website. Instead, we recommend that you go through and instead go to another portion . And this is the page you would have come to before you came to the actual application. And it talks about procedures that we just talked about, but what I'm going down here to the bottom here, before you click to apply, right down here below it is click here for a worksheet. And what this is a Word document. And this Word document has the exact same information on it as the website does. So what it allows you to do is to download the Word document, spend all your time and energy typing it out just like it's a regular application, get all the bugs worked out, and then you can just copy and paste it and put it into the online application. So strongly recommend that you do that. Now I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and while I am doing that, I notice that we have a question here. So let me, the PowerPoint's coming back, let me answer the question. And so the question was, does length of program matter? So does it matter if I'm going for a whole semester, or can it just be a week semester? And the answer to the question is no, it does not matter what the length is, and it also does not matter where you're going, okay? The point is the study abroad is what's important. So it can be a week in the summer, it can be 2 weeks during the winter intersession, it could be an entire year abroad at another university. Okay, any of those are possible. Now, when we were looking at the application, we saw a lot of information there. And I want to point out that everything is not scored equally. So when you look at this, you will see all the information that was entered here. But you'll notice the grammar, spelling is important, so you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that. There's some study abroad details that you're looking at, which is small. But when you look at the large numbers, ALD contributions, campus community activities, honors received, impact of ALD essay, study abroad essay, recommendation letters, GPA transcript, those are considered higher in terms of point value. So you want to make sure that you're taking account into all this. So what we're going to do is break down all of this piece by piece. And once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to go to the Q&A and ask anything in case something is not sure. So, okay, I got a question here. Let me before we go on. If I don't know some of the exact details for my study abroad program, can I still apply? For example, I know we leave in July and return in August, but I don't know the specific dates. Can I still apply? Yes, you can. You do need to know enough about the program so that you can describe what's going on, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But you do need to know what's important here is the actual time frame. So you, and sometimes these dates aren't decided until the end. I know some universities will partner with other universities, and so sometimes those dates aren't set until it's closer to the depart time. Actually, I'm doing a study abroad this semester, and mine was just determined a month ago, the actual dates. We had a rough idea, but we didn't know exactly what it was until a month ago. So when you're completing the application, the one thing you want to do is you want to explain things. Don't just tell, don't just list, but actually explain what's going on. You need to remember that no one from your institution is going to be reading your application. Everybody reading your application is going to be from another institution. So you may have received a very prestigious award, but no one knows what it is.
Hi, I'm back.
Yes.
Okay, the presentation's back into the other mode of not being shown.
Oh, gosh.
I think can you click on that enable editing button when you first
Okay, hold on here. Ah, all right. Hold on.
Yeah, I can edit all this out. It's not a problem.
Okay, hold on. Just I need to shut something down.
Okay.
I think the problem is I've got two of them open.
Oh, we're recording now.
Okay, so when you're completing your application, you need to be very careful. You need to explain everything on the application. Don't just tell. So for example, you may have received a very prestigious award at your university, and you may be tempted to just list it because it's so important at your university. But nobody from your university is going to be reading your application. Everybody who's reading the application is going to be from other schools. So you need to explain to the rest of us why this award was so wonderful. What did you do to earn it? And so explain all of those details, because no one from your university is going to be reading your application. So you have to explain to us what everything means. You also want to follow directions and pay very, very careful attention to what they are asking for. Quite often when people are filling out these applications, they filled out so many other applications for scholarships that it's turned into just a generic situation. It becomes obvious when we're reading these applications if it is generic. If you're just throwing an answer out there, it may not be answering the question that we were asking. So make sure to read the directions very carefully. Make sure when you write the essays, they're essays that answer the questions that we're looking for, and pay close attention to the point values. You don't want to spend a lot of time on things that are worth 5 points and ignore the things that are worth 15 points. So be very careful and mindful of that. Also, you have that Word document there. So take the time to type everything up in the Word document. The Word document will count the words for you, so to make sure you don't go over the word limit. The Word document will check your grammar. It will check your spelling. It will let you try different types of arrangements to see which looks nicer. It will also allow you to save so that you can start your application and work on it over a course of several days and only work on one part of the application at a given time period. It also gives you an opportunity to go back and revise it. A lot of times you'll do something, but a day or two or an hour or two later, you'll say, I could have said that better. If you have it on a Word document, you can go back and fix it. Whereas if you just upload it, then you're stuck with whatever's there. So when we look at the short answers, you need to keep in mind that the point of the scholarship is to recognize merit and service. So you want to make sure that you present yourself as multidimensional. What do I mean by multidimensional? You want to talk about the honors that you've had. You want to talk about your academics. You want to talk about your service. You want to talk about your study abroad. So you have an area in there that gives you a chance for the study abroad details. And so you want to make sure that the person reading it understands what your study abroad experience is going to be, so that when they finish it, they will understand exactly what are you going to experience while you're abroad. Remember, this is supposed to be an educational experience, so we're looking for the details about how you're going to grow and with your education and so on. You also want to highlight those awards and accomplishments, and that's worth 10 points. So once again, explaining is going to be important here as well, because we're not going to know some of these awards unless they're national. And community service as well. This is merit and service, so your community service is important. So highlight that. Highlight that under ALD, highlight that under campus and community service. And community service can be at the campus level or it can be off campus. I know we have quite a few students who commute, and so they do a lot of their community service off campus. Sometimes you'll have students who live off campus, and so they will often volunteer at organizations off campus. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you are actively involved and contributing. So let's talk about the essays. Okay. When we were going through that, leadership is going to be very important, but we want more than titles. You can have the title of president, but that doesn't mean that you're doing anything. We do have organizations here on our campus that are pretty much organizations that meet maybe once or twice a year. So the president is a name only. There's not a lot that's done. Whereas other organizations like Alpha Lambda Delta are very active. So the president is very involved in organization and so on. So you need to tell us about that. And remember that ALD contributions are 15 points, which is very large. So when you're talking about your ALD contributions, be specific here. If you are an active member, tell us what that means. You know, how many of these activities have you gone to? How much community service have you been involved in? Give us information, give us details. Also, when the essay on how it has impacted your life, you want to do the same thing. Keep in mind, I know quite a few of you are officers, so you want to talk about, as an officer, what did you do? But even if you're not an officer, if you are an active member of ALD, talk about how being that member has actually impacted who you are and how it's made you a better person, how this experience has helped. And in terms of the study abroad benefits, that's another 15 minutes, so 15 points. You'll notice this is almost half of all of your scoring are these 3 essays. So on this one, you want to go through and be very specific. This is where you have a chance to talk about what the study abroad experience is and how it's going to impact you. Quite a few of you are choosing your study abroad component based on your major because you think it will help you later on with your career. Let us know that. Don't assume that we're going to make any assumptions because we're not. You need to tell us how important this is and why you should be selected. You also need 2 references. And the 2 references, one of them must be a faculty member or instructor of record. So this is someone who has actually taught you at some point. Okay. And we mentioned instructor of record because sometimes it's not a faculty member. Sometimes it is someone who's been brought to campus just to teach one particular course. The second reference can be anyone you choose, but please do not choose a family member. You want the committee to look at these as objective references, people who know you, people who are not biased towards you. And family members just have that natural reputation. So don't do that. Choose non-family members for your second reference. Oops, hold on. I need to go back for just a minute here because it skipped over it. Choose a reference who knows you well. That means someone who can include some personal stories about you. So don't necessarily choose the faculty member that you received an A on and never had to go to office hours and never had to talk to them after class. You were just naturally gifted in that class. Because that professor's not going to know you. Choose someone instead that you've worked with closely. Now, this could be a professor that you've made an A in, or this could be a professor that you got a B with. But it's someone that you've worked with closely who knows you well. And when you go to ask your references, take with you your resume so that they can see what you're doing, but also take time and make an appointment. Talk to them. Explain to them what this application is about. What is ALD? Why are you applying for this scholarship? Why do you think you're deserving of this scholarship? That will help the reference make a letter that not only is special to you, but can be special to Alpha Lambda Delta. It'll make you stand out. And that's the point. You want to really stand out because there are going to be 55 people applying, and you want to be one of those $2,000 scholarships. So you want to be in the top 10. And these references can make a difference to help you stand out. Do I have any questions so far? I'm going rather quickly, but I don't want to bore you either by going too slowly. So the responsibility of the recipient once all this is done. So you've applied and you're waiting for a response. Because the deadline is in February 15th, the point of that is so that winners can be notified by the end of April. And the reason it's so early is we realize that some of you will be using your money to go that very summer. So if you're notified by the end of April, then there'll be enough time for Alpha Lambda Delta to get the money to you before you have to leave in mid to late May, if that's when you're traveling. So once you receive a notification from Alpha Lambda Delta, you want to promptly respond. So starting at the end of April, you want to be checking your emails very regularly because you're looking for that email from the national office. And once you are given that offer, please respond immediately. We do have backups because occasionally somebody will have applied, but it turns out they're not going to be able to go. The program has been canceled, or they decided to defer for another year. If that's the case, the scholarship will be awarded to someone else. So you want to notify the national office very quickly because you don't want them to award the scholarship to someone else because you didn't reply to them. And once you receive that, you will need to send verification to Alpha Lambda Delta once you are enrolled in that study abroad program. Once that's done and the enrollment is verified to the national office, then the scholarship funds will be sent directly to your university. And once again, that's where the monies will be dispersed from, is your university. Now, before I go through, I want to show you, oops, hold on just a second. I'm one step further here. I want to go back and take a look at one more website here. When you go to the James J. Stemler Study Abroad Scholarship, this is the first screen that opens up. And you'll notice when you look at this screen, you see the scholarship recipients up here. You see how many people can apply. You actually see the click to actually upload your application. You see the point system, and you see quite a few questions and answers, some facts along the line. So this gives you some wonderful resources to take a look at. But I want to go down even further because it shows the people who were awarded the scholarships in 2018. And I want you to notice that it's all over the place. We have students who have gone from multiple universities. So we're not seeing the same university over and over and over again. There are quite a few universities that are represented here. We also see study abroad from countries all over. And it looks like most of these are from Europe, but we have India, we have Argentina. So it really doesn't matter where you're going abroad. And you'll also see we have people who've gone for the entire year, people who've gone for a semester, people who've gone for the summer. And when we're talking about summer, it could have been 1 week, it could have been the entire summer. Any of those are possibilities. So let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So are there any last questions before I come to a close? So let me close by telling you that you have quite a few resources. You have your ALD chapter advisor. That person is very experienced with this, and they're being more than happy to help you. I'm sure they would even be willing to read some essays or help you out if you have any questions with your application. You have your ALD chapter officers, your peers. I'm sure they're all not going to study abroad, so they're not all going to be your competition. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to read through and try to go through it and help with some of this evaluation. Maybe give you applications. Oh, I need to ignore the website. And then the ALD National Office is also a wonderful resource. Okay, so I have a question. So let's take a look at that. It says, I know the National Scholarship deadline is February 1st. When is my local scholarship deadline, and how do I find out? Okay, actually, the national deadline is February 15th, And the local one really does depend on your institution. If you are not sure when your local deadline is, you can either contact your chapter advisor. If your chapter advisor, if you don't know your chapter advisor, you can contact the national office. And the national office will also have that information and be able to put you in touch with the chapter advisor.
Just to reiterate too, I believe you touched on this in the beginning, is that anyone is eligible to apply for Stemler at any time as soon as you actually join. So if you're watching this and you are for next year, you're watching this next year and you're joining Alpha Lambda Delta, but you weren't inducted yet in the spring of 2020, that you are still eligible to apply as soon as you officially join with your chapter or through the national office website. You're eligible to apply. So it's a nice perk for that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for all the questions. And thank you, Sharon, for your presentation. Very helpful. Check out our website for future webinars coming up this semester in the summer and the fall at nationalald.org. Thanks very much.
Thank you.